We will start in 1 minute. Good afternoon, distinguished speakers and participants. Welcome to the SEAMEO SEPS IVL webinar on the World Environment Day with the theme, Beating Plastic Pollution. My name is Pia Pao, Program Officer of the SEAMEO SEPS. I'm very pleased to be your MC today. For this special occasion of the World Environment Day, this webinar aims to create awareness on the global environmental issues, waste management, and circular economy, as well as share the best practices for protecting our environment and beating plastic pollution. The agenda will start with a message from the SEAMEO Secretariat Director and UNESCO Multi-Sectoral Regional Office, Bangkok. Then continue with a presentation from our partner, Indorama Ventures PCL. The panel presentation will introduce the best practices from our experts, including UNESCO IOC West Pacific Regional Training and Research Center for Marine Plastic Debris and Microplastics, Ministry of National Resource and Environment of Thailand. And the first prize winner of the SEAMEO Japan ESD Award, SM St. Patrick Tawon of Malaysia. At the end of the webinar, will be presented by Yunus Thailand Foundation to share the free educational resources that teachers can download easily for classroom activities. Thank you for the participation of our nearly 500 audience in the YouTube Live, and I hope that you will stay with us until the end of the session. Without further ado, may I invite Dr. Habiba binti Abdul Rahim, Director of the SEAMEO Secretariat, for the opening message. Dr. Habiba, the floor is yours.
To SEAMEO SEPS Director Duria Amatawitat, our partners from Indorama Ventures PLC and Yunus Thailand Foundations, Ministry officials, education leaders, school heads, teachers, students, environmental and community advocates, participants, ladies and gentlemen, greetings from Bangkok, Thailand. We welcome you to the webinar in celebration of World Environment Day. We are gathered today with the same vision to develop awareness and determine concrete solutions to one of our most urgent concerns, plastic pollution. Plastic pollution is a global crisis touching every aspect of our lives and posing threats to health and the environment. Globally, plastic production reached 460 million tons in 2019, and plastic waste has more than doubled from 156 million tons in 2000 to 353 million tons in 2019. In Southeast Asia, alarming numbers are reported on plastic pollution, particularly on plastic waste entering the ocean. With its economic growth and development, the region is seen as a hotspot for plastic pollution, according to a World Bank article. In addition, the COVID-19 pandemic increased single-use plastic waste, which is seen to further increase as economies open after the lockdowns. The impact of plastic pollution is felt in our environment as it heavily threatens the rich and diverse biodiversity and ecosystems in Southeast Asia, home to many species of flora and fauna in its land and waters. Plastic pollution also poses risks on our health and well-being, as water and food may be contaminated with microplastics. This far-reaching implication reminds us that we need to act now against plastic pollution. We need to develop and scale up solutions in our nations, in our region, and across the globe to resolve this concern. First, countries, governments, the private sector, communities, and schools are taking action and working hand in hand to resolve this crisis. Cambodia, for example, has introduced drone monitoring to assess the situation and develop action plans. Indonesia also conducted baseline assessments of the discharge of plastics in the country, which will lead to evidence-informed decisions to combat plastic pollution. These are some of the key actions being done to address the situation, and we will learn more strategies from this webinar. With the theme Beating Plastic Pollution, this webinar seeks to educate and inspire action to our stakeholders. This will be a platform to share available evidence and knowledge materials, discuss innovations and effective practices, and most importantly, make our voices heard in our fight against plastic pollution. We hope to discuss with you various and diverse experiences in reducing plastic use, advocating for proper waste management, and exploring new options on plastic. We believe that the community and the school are critical places where change must begin. We also aim to bring changes, especially on policy, to ensure environmental sustainability through enactment and implementation of policies that seek to address plastic pollution. This webinar is also an opportunity to foster collaboration and partnerships with different sectors to develop innovative solutions. In SEAMEO, we seek to ensure quality of life in the region, which includes protecting its people and the environment from the effects of plastic pollution. We thank SEAMEO SEPS and our partners, Indorama Ventures PLC and Yunus Thailand Foundation, for organizing this timely webinar. We look forward to a productive learning session and discussion with all of you. Together, let us beat plastic pollution. Thank you and happy World Environment Day.
Thank you very much, Dr. Habiba, for the informative and inspiring opening message. For the next speaker, it is our great honor to invite Dr. Fayong Khan, Program Specialist for Education, UNESCO Multi-Sectoral Regional Office, or UNESCO Bangkok, for a message on the World Environment Day. Dr. Khan, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Khun Payapa, and distinguished SEAMEO colleagues, dear partners and participants. Greetings to all as we gather today on World Environment Day, united in our commitment to beat plastic pollution. I would like to thank SEAMEO Secretariat and SEPS and the organizing team for inviting UNESCO to this special occasion. Next, please. Next, please. So the United Nations designates the 5th of June as World Environment Day to highlight that the protection and health of the environment is a priority. Our planet is at risk, and we must change the way we live, and change starts with education. World Environment Day 2023 is a reminder that people's actions on plastic pollution matters and provides us with an opportunity to broaden the basis for sustainable mindsets and behaviors by individuals, enterprises, and communities. As the Secretary General of the United Nations remarked in his vision statement at the Transforming Education Summit last year, in a world of rising tensions, fraying trust, and existential environmental crisis, education must help us not only to live better with each other, but also with nature. This is the time for us to beat plastic pollution. And he says, together we can chart a path to a cleaner, greener world. Next, please. We've already gone over some statistics that give us a glimpse of the severity of plastic pollution, but let us look at, some statistics from UNESCO, which suggests that globally 8 million tons of plastics end up in our oceans every year, and 50% of annual production is single use, and only 9% of all plastic waste ever produced has been recycled. So we note that while the program and the issues are global in scale, it is particularly acute in the Asia-Pacific region. The region produces almost half of all plastics globally, 38% of it, and is responsible for over 80% of the ocean plastic waste. As SEAMEO just highlighted, these statistics are alarming, with an overwhelming amount of plastic waste being produced and inadequate recycling rates. Our coastlines, which are home to diverse marine ecosystems, face unique challenges due to plastic pollution. And the plastic ends up in our water systems, it's clogging our drains, endangering marine life, entering our food chains, and causing health concerns. Next, please. So education for sustainable development is the foundation for the transformations we need by getting learners ready, by teaching them the knowledge, skills, values, and attitudes we need to tackle plastic pollution. And this is why the education for sustainable development is central to United Nations mandate. Our theory of change is education for sustainable development enables learners to become aware and prepares them to make informed choices and become change agents, enables them to adopt eco-friendly practices and reduce their plastic consumption that enables sustainable societies. Next, please. So in response, the Education for Sustainable Development for 2030 Global Framework was adopted in 2019 at UNESCO's General Conference, and it fully integrates ESD and the 17 Sustainable Development Goals into education policies and local action. It's the Education for Sustainable Development 2030 Roadmap was rolled out to provide further guidelines. And in May 2021, the Berlin Declaration on ESD was adopted to ensure environmental and climate action. As part of the implementation of ESD for 2030, countries are encouraged to implement multi-stakeholder country initiatives to mainstream education for sustainable development in policy, curricula, teachers' education, and so forth in a whole institution approach. UNESCO invites countries and partners to join the ESD Net as a platform for knowledge sharing, advocacy, and monitoring. And we are also having the regional ESD Net meeting in Bali, Indonesia from 12 to 14 June, which will lead up to the global meeting on ESD in December this year. Next, please. So in the spirit of ESD, much has been done, but UNESCO and Education International conducted some studies, and we learned that 90% of the countries are mainstreaming education for sustainable development themes in their laws, policies, and curricula. But despite these achievements, challenges persist. Many teachers feel less confident and knowledgeable about behavioral learning and socio-emotional perspectives. And 25% of them still do not feel ready to teach themes related to education for sustainable development. Next, please. In the spirit of ESD, UNESCO is launching several campaigns and global programs such as the Trash Hack, This is a global campaign which draws on the power of schools working together to take action and offers guides to teachers to enable activities adaptable for all ages and in different regional contexts. Next, please. Another example is the Plastic Initiative launched in Hanoi, and this has two core components. First, the implementation of grassroots plastic waste management projects, and youth are encouraged to submit these proposals. And second, the development of waste management action plans for ASEAN countries. And this is particularly important as countries such as Thailand and Vietnam are committed to tackle ever-growing plastic pollution to better address cross-boundary pollution. And they are committed to promoting circular economies. So these initiatives enable the readiness level within governments, but also at community level. Next, please. Following the Transforming Education Summit at the United Nations last year, the Greening Education Partnership has 4 pillars: greening schools, greening communities, greening teachers, training and educating, education for systemic capacities, and greening communities. And through this partnership, we are opening up our doors for collaboration with different partners and community members. So please do reach out to us if you are interested at UNESCO. Next, please, and I will wrap up here. All in all, this, our pursuit to address environmental issues and beating plastic pollution really calls for education to play a vital role. We need to integrate education for sustainable development into national policies and strategies, into teacher training, professional development programs, and ensure that education has the tools and knowledge to deliver effective environmental education. It's also important that youth are the driving force behind change. And by promoting environmental education and supporting youth-led initiatives, we hope we can instill a sense of ownership and responsibility among the younger generations who are keenly aware of the urgency to protect our planet. That said, no single entity can overcome this challenge alone. We need collaborative efforts between education institutions, government, civil society, and this is paramount. And we also need to foster an interdisciplinary approach to environmental education, incorporating science, social sciences, arts, and humanities to provide comprehensive learning experiences. Last but not least, regional cooperation is key in this area. And we hope that as we work together, we would like to highlight UNESCO's commitment to facilitating partnerships, knowledge sharing, and collaboration in the Asia-Pacific region and beyond. And we hope that this World Environmental Day is going to be critical for us in raising the awareness we need. Thank you so much. I look forward to listening to our other partners and colleagues and look forward to the discussions today. Thank you for having UNESCO.
Thank you very much, Dr. Khan, for the overview on the SDG goals and information on the global and regional efforts and programs for protecting our environment. So very interesting indeed for the presentation. Next, it is a great opportunity on the World Environment Day to learn from one of the world's leading petrochemicals producer industry. May I invite Mr. Colum Jordan, Global Head of Advocacy and Education from Indorama Ventures PCL. His presentation topic is Stopping Waste by Indorama Ventures PCL. Mr. Jordan, the floor is yours.
Hello and happy World Environment Day. I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart to everyone who's listening to me this morning for coming along to this very important webinar. By being here, by hearing these voices and these stories, you are showing your commitment to protecting our planet and becoming a hero, because that's what heroes do. They protect what they love. So thank you so much. And on behalf of Indorama Ventures and the Lohia family, I want to thank SEAMEO and their partners, UNESCO, for organizing this and giving you the platform to come together, to learn, to exchange ideas, and to help be part of a better future. So if we move on to our first slide, please. We've heard a lot about the dangers of what's out there. And I know that your generation, more than any other, has had a lot of problems handed to it by my generation and older generations. And sometimes it can be quite difficult to hear about climate change and pollution and everything that's happening. And a lot of us begin to worry. So one thing I would like to say to you is to say that there is opportunities to change, and the world is changing. And we can be optimistic about a future if we act now and if we act quickly. And one of those solutions is the circular economy. The economy of the past was about create, consume, and throw away. That is the past. The economy of the future that you will build and you will make, is where we create, we use, and we recycle. And this imitates nature, like the leaf falling from the tree that then decomposes into the ground and then feeds the roots of the tree to make more leaves. We are mimicking nature to create a circular economy. Now, if you, like me, were listening to some of our previous speakers and you thought, why don't we just ban plastics? They sound terrible. They're polluting our oceans, they're clogging up drains. Why don't we just get rid of them? I don't want them in my life. Well, I would say to you that there are important things that plastics can do, like medical devices. As well as that, sometimes if we have food and it decomposes, if we package it in economic and easy to use plastic packaging, we can ensure that that food stays fresher for longer, meaning we don't need to make more food, which takes up a huge amount of water and takes up a huge amount of a carbon footprint. As well as that, if we just switch to alternatives, some of them can be a lot heavier, they can take a huge amount of energy to use, and it can actually hurt our planet if, in those specific examples, we go to alternatives that have a higher greenhouse gas emission. Now, we do have to change our use. Single use is becoming less and less used. We must learn to maximize the materials that we use so we don't hit the planetary boundaries that are out there, and we work in a sufficient manner to make sure that our society can continue to thrive and survive. So in that circular model, some plastics can play a part. Please move on to the next slide. So we heard about 9% of plastics being recycled, and that's a very depressing number, and that's something that sits on my mind a lot and I think about a lot. But not all plastics are the same. So it's like saying vegetables or fruit. There's lots of different fruits. You could have a mango or you could have a tomato. So if I eat a mango, I've eaten 100% of the mangoes in my house and 0% of the tomatoes in my house. But does it mean that I've eaten 50% of the fruit in my house? So we've also heard about the importance of education. So it's very important that we learn that there are many different types of plastics. And as you can see here, some are not recyclable at all, and we have to look at how we address those. And some are way more recyclable than others. So the PET that my company makes, Indorama Ventures, is the PET. It's a type of plastic that's used for your water bottle or your soda bottle or your soft drink bottle. And I would like everyone here to learn that that is 100% recyclable. And when we consume our favorite beverage, we must remember to never ever litter the packaging and always put it into recycling. And that way, we can help to build that circular economy. We can be self-sufficient. We can stop taking resources out of our planet, and we can keep the resources that we're using now and just go round and round. So let's move on to the next slide. So this all sounds very good, but what am I, as a big bad corporate person in the environment, doing? We heard earlier that everyone must work together. Government, civil society, industry, NGOs. Well, for our part, what we're doing is we are building the recycling plants the world needs to make a circular economy. So in 2019, we partnered with the Worldwide Fund for Nature and the Ellen MacArthur Foundation, and we made a commitment that we would invest $1.5 billion to build recycling plants all over the world. And by 2025, we plan to recycle 50 billion bottles every single year. And as you can see on this slide, even during the pandemic, we were busy building and expanding the recycling plants that the world needs. Because when we build a recycling plant, we pay people for trash. And when we pay people for trash, that means that money is going into the collection infrastructure that we need, the recycling infrastructure that we need. And that money means that people are incentivized to collect all the PET bottles they can and to make sure that they go back into the circular economy. So, and if you look at some of the policies that are out there, some of my friends from the Philippines, hi everyone in the Philippines, will know that Senator Villar passed a very important bill that looked at the that looked at how we can collect packaging and how we can recycle packaging. And when it was passed, we were already there. And with our partners, the Coca-Cola company, we built Pet Value, a state-of-the-art recycling facility right in General Trias in the Philippines that's recycling your bottles right now. So we are playing our part. Not only are we producing something that is 100% recyclable, unlike other materials, but we're also trying to build the plants that the world needs and investing to get it back so we can close the loop and have a circular economy for everyone. So let's move on to the next slide, please. So it all sounds perfect. Colm sounds, when he's talking, it sounds like we don't need to do anything, but let's just look at this picture for one moment. So we have factories, so you can see there on the top left-hand side, PET producers, that's us. Then you have beverage bottlers who put their drinks into the bottle, but then you have consumers. And sometimes they do not know if this packaging is recyclable or if this is unrecyclable, whether they should throw this into a bin that is yellow or green or blue or black or whatever the case may be. So we have to help consumers to understand what is recyclable and what is not. And then once people understand, we do need some behavior change. Littering must be 100% unacceptable in the circular economy of the future. We have to stand up. If we see somebody throwing something onto the street, we have to say, no, you can't do that. Please pick that up and put your trash somewhere else. When that happens, then we need to make sure that we have recycling plants like the ones we're building. That's the picture at the bottom of the screen. And that recycling plant should be taking in all that waste and giving it a new life and turning it into a new product so that we can close the loop. So you have to make something that is recyclable in the first place, and then industry has to recycle it in the last place. But in between, we need a huge amount of education to ensure that people know what is recyclable and what is not, and to change their behavior so that they know to send it to recycling. So I want to thank you very, very much again for being here today. You are the heroes who are going to save the planet. There was a lot of doom and gloom at the start of this and the challenges that we are facing, but I am incredibly optimistic because we have so many people like you who are taking time out of their day on a Monday to listen to an Irishman from a Thai company talk to you about the circular economy. You give me a huge amount of inspiration and hope, and from the bottom of my heart, I thank you. For our part, we're going to try and help to support you on this journey and to support the next generation that's going into kindergarten right now. And if we move to the next slide, we'll see just how my company is trying to help. And we will also learn a lot later on from Brian, more details about it. But here's just a small piece of information just to get you excited about some of the presentations that are going to come along again. Thank you so much and have a great day. Next slide, please.
Meet teacher Emily. She's a passionate teacher who cares deeply for her students and the environment. Emily wants to teach environmental education to give her students real-world skills to improve our planet. However, she's a busy teacher with no time to prepare extra lessons herself and unsure where to begin. Waste Hero Education is the perfect resource for teachers like Emily. Waste Hero offers 19 free activity-based teacher lesson plans that cover recycling, zero waste, and the circular economy for K-12 and university students. Yep, Teacher Emily, you heard that right. Waste Hero is 100% free. These lessons are designed to reduce teacher prep time, including a lesson script, resources to run activities, and can be modified to fit any classroom context and the time available. Only have time for the activity and not the full lesson? No problem. Need to adjust the lesson to support an existing one? Easy peasy. Waste Hero was designed and validated by teachers for teachers wanting to educate students on how to care for our planet. Click the link now to download the free lessons and begin empowering your students to become future waste heroes.
Thank you very much for the inspiring presentation. Now we have better understanding about the plastic recycle and the effort of the industry in saving our environment and beating plastic pollution. And I hope that the teachers will hear more how they can download the educational resources on the Waste Hero, which you mentioned in your presentation. Thank you so much, Mr. Jordan, for your presentation. So, dear participants, before we start the next session, I would like to invite our participants to send questions to our speaker by clicking on the Q&A form, which our team has posted the link in the YouTube description box and on the top of the chat box. Or you can use your mobile phone to scan the QR code on the screen. Please type your question in English language. Our team will select the interesting question and address them to our speaker in the Q&A session. For the next session, panel presentation on learning from winning strategies, solutions to plastic pollution. I would like to invite Ms. Duriya Amataviwat, Center Director of the SEAMEO SEPS, to moderate the session. Kun Duriya, are you ready? May I invite you on the virtual stage?
Thank you very much, Priyapa. Sawadika. Good day and greeting from Bangkok to all distinguished speakers and participants. As our Master of Ceremonies just mentioned that at the beginning that today is the World Environment Day. And this webinar is a part of the celebration of the World Day today. So I'm sure that all of you have joined us today because you are well aware that environmental issues have become important and related to our daily life, as our previous speakers just mentioned, that we have been using plastic to make our lives easier. However, in many occasions, we have neglected on the management of plastic waste. So I guess that the impacts of plastic waste are far more than we can imagine. Therefore, the webinar today highlights on how we can beat the plastic use, as the title of the webinar today is Beating Plastic Pollution. And our next three speakers in the panel are experts on this topic, and they will share some practices and strategies on how we should deal with this issue. The session will last 40 minutes. So we will be listening to our experts. And Right now, please allow me to introduce our speakers one by one, followed by the presentation of our speaker. So, dear speakers, you will have 12 minutes maximum for your presentation. And I would like now to introduce you to our speaker today. Our first speaker is an expert who has long engaged with this issue in the Western Pacific. Professor Dr. Daoji Li is currently Senior Professor at State Key Laboratory of Estuarine and Coastal Research, East China Normal University. He also serves as Director, Institute of Plastic Cycle and Innovation, East China Normal University. As well as he also has the wide international experiences as he is the Director of Regional Training Research Center for Marine Plastic Debris and Microplastics. And also he is working with the UNESCO IOC Westpac. IOC Westpac is the International Intergovernmental Commission on Oceanography. This commission is attached to UNESCO, and his work focusing on the Western Pacific. And including this, he also a member of the UNEP Scientific Advisory Committee on Marine Litter and Microplastics. So today he will speak on ending plastic pollution and experience. So please join me in welcoming Professor Daoji Li. So the floor is yours, sir.
Thank you very much for your kindly introduction. So first, I think let me share the screen. So is that okay? Okay. So thank you very much. On behalf of the UNESCO IOC Westpac, I think first place allow me to thank Director Mr. Duria Amatavita for kindly inviting me to participate in this important webinar organized by SEAMEO SEPS on today's World Environment Day. And today I want to share the practice and experience in ending plastic pollution. So as you all know, plastic and microplastic pollution has become an urgent global environmental concern. And a roughly estimate of 4 million tons of plastic waste is discharged from terrestrial and riverine sources to the marine environment each year, with a significant volume dispersed within the world ocean, either through the water column or locked within the sediments on the seabed and or within live marine organisms. In fact, a macro-scaled and micro-scaled plastic waste are now widely present in various regions of the ocean, from the deepest trenches to the coastal water near the frozen Arctic and Antarctic. So plastic has been found across the ocean globally. So that we call the ocean has almost become a plastic world, and had made these environment issues a globally a global challenge. So with regard to our global solutions to the pollution of marine plastic and microplastic, I here want to acknowledge the efforts of the UNEP for reducing the marine plastic pollution, especially the resolutions of 5 consecutive United Nations Environment Assembly has proposed initiatives and goals to address this issue. In 2019 and 2020, the AHEG 3 Bangkok and AHEG 4 Nairobi meeting convinced by the UNEP to make further efforts toward the formulation of the new international agreement on the preventing plastic waste. So finally, the exciting decision in March 2022, head of states and ministers of environment and other representatives from 175 nations endorsed a historical resolution at the UN Environment Assembly to end plastic pollution and achieve the international legally binding agreement by 2024. The resolution emphasizes addressing plastic pollution, including marine environment and others, addresses the full life cycle of plastic, include its production and the design of reusable and recyclable products and materials, and the need for enhanced international collaboration to facilitate access to technology, capacity building, and scientific and technology cooperation, designing and disposal. The resolution, based on the 3 initial draft resolutions from various nations, establishes an intergovernmental negotiation committee, which will begin its work which now has begun to work in 2020, with a vision of completing a draft global legally binding agreement by the end of 2024. So more than 200 representatives from 140 countries meet the Paraguay for the first meeting of the INC and agreed to end plastic pollution. And the second session of the INC to develop the international legally binding instrument now was just held in Paris on the 29 May to 2 June. And I think you will get new information about it soon. And now let me talk about the important part of my topic, which is about some good practice and solutions I learned to ending plastic pollution, roughly divided into the 4 parts. The first, let's talk about personal solutions. So overall, what we emphasize is source reduction. Microbins, the single-use plastic products are identified as major sources of plastic and microplastics in the environment. From the personal perspective, the better contribution to the plastic detection, I think much important is that we should choose to use the products without microbins and reduce the use of single-use plastic products. And in general, I think we should choose products wisely and be responsible consumers. For example, we should try our best to use 3R products, which are reusable, repairable, and recyclable. So then, regarding the solution of the local communities, what I would like to provide is that the local community should organize some activities to remove plastic waste from the environment they live around, and support and implement the regulations and measures related to waste reduction issued by the legislative bodies and related organizations. For example, enforcing strict household waste classification systems. And in addition, as we all know, fishing gear and nets used in the past were discarded in large quantity into the ocean and sink to the bottom of the sea. And we call them the ghost net. So how can we effectively collect it and process them? At present, many countries have good practice, such as the pilot launches of the fishing boat salvage garbage of Changhuan fishing port in the Henan province, China. This pilot encourages fishermen to bring plastic waste from the fishing net back to the port for treatment while fishing, and has received support from local government departments. For another example, in the Tenzhou city, Zhejiang province, China, fishermen went out to catch fish and not only harvest abundant fish, but also brought back the large bag of plastic garbage. As long as they declared in advance, the professional companies will come to collect this plastic garbage, and purchase price were far higher than the market value. Subsequently, through the Blue Cycle, a closed-loop governance platform, this marine plastic waste will eventually transform into products such as mobile cases and clothing. So here I would also like to introduce the intelligent coastal monitoring and cleaning of plastic waste floating in the sea. And Xingshan County, Zhejiang province, China, relies on the remote sensing plus AI technology, uses satellite high resolution imaging, and drone aerial photography to patrol the coastline, and other methods to timely detect it and clean up the floating plastic waste at sea to reduce fish gear entering the sea. The Fishery Management Department has upgraded the traditional wood plus white foam floating board fishing raft, promoting the recyclable environment friendly high density plastic fishing raft, and greatly reduce the production of plastic floating garbage at the source. So in aspect of plastic recycling, for example, China's Shandong Interco, an environment protection renewable resource company, actively broadens the channels and ways of various waste plastic recycling, develop advantage waste plastic treatment technology, produce new plastic products, and recycling 40,000 tons of PS plastic annually, which is equivalent to reduce 100,000 tons of carbon emissions, save off 150,000 tons of crude oil, and reducing the falling of about 2 billion trees annually. So at present, considering the current situation of plastic package industrial chain in food and beverage industrial, there are various issues. Therefore, digital platform enterprises implement closed-loop measures according to the needs of each link in the industrial chain, is establish digital platform and sharing industrial chain information. And this requires a good design of recyclability in the front end and a good recycling system in the back end, control of the recycling flow. Then the government is responsible for digital plan supervision. So about the construction of waste-free cities, I would like to take Sanya, Henan, China as an example. In order to promote the green and low carbon cycle development of the city, build a beautiful Sanya and set example for the ecological civilization pilot zone, Sanya has introduced a series of waste-free city construction pilot tasks. This including reducing household waste, building waste-free islands, promoting high-quality recycling, increasing agricultural production control, and carry out waste-free culture construction. So to accomplish these tasks, Sanya City has proposed to build a waste-free ecological island with focus on the wider pollution and emphasizes on the ecological cost in terms of institutional mechanisms and other systems construction. So the highlight of the pilot project of the construction of waste-free city in Sanya is comprehensive treatment model for wider pollution, which includes institutional leadership, a reduction and salt at the source, land and sea coordination, public participation, and international collaboration. In terms of international collaboration, just WWF, Clean Plastic City Initiative, strengthen international exchange and sharing of clean plastic experience, and enhance Sanya's international influence in plastic pollution prevention and control. So next, I think the work done by UNESCO IOC Westpac is in the recent years is primary example of the efforts of scientific communities. Here, I would like to share our journey from the 2017 to achieve the project kickoff of this UN Ocean Decade Action last year. This journey is fulfilled with efforts and outputs from all our collaborations in the region, and also cannot be achieved without the strong organization and member state support from IOC Westpac. We are currently active promoting the United Nations 22 project, stem the title of Asia's riverine plastic emission into the ocean. So in order to achieve these goals, we have a lot of planned activities. The major activities are international workshop on harmonizing methodology for riverine plastic and microplastic monitoring. And also we have a training workshop for riverine plastic and microplastic sampling, and also the field sampling in pilot rivers, and also held international discussion workshop. And also we made a training workshop on the transport of plastic and microplastic in the rivers. So in the next 2 years, we have some short objective want to achieve. For example, there's a lot. For example, by the December 24, at least 100 young scientists and students in Asia countries will be trained to do riverine plastic and microplastic related research. So that's it's an ambitious plan, and that is gradually being implemented. So finally, when it comes to end of plastic pollution and create a circular economy, I would like to introduce you to the new report, so-called the Turning Off the Tap, how the world can end plastic pollution and create a circular economy, released by the UNEP, which point out that if the countries and enterprises using existing technologies for in-depth policy and market transformation, they can reduce plastic pollution by 80% by 2040. This report was released before the second round of negotiations on the global agreement to end plastic pollution in Paris, outlining the scale and the nature of changes needed to end plastic pollution and create circular economy. I think everyone can find the answer they want from it. So, okay, that's all I want to talk today. I wish those shared experience and practice could be widely applied and promoted in the near future with the adoption of the new plastic treaty. Thank you very much for your attention. Have a good day. And so that's all of my talk. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Dr. Tao Ji Lee, for a very comprehensive presentation. You have shared with us on the global situation until some case studies from China. So thank you very much. And now I would like to introduce our next speaker. Our second speaker is an expert from Thailand, Dr. Suri Sattapumin. She is a specialist from the Department of Marine and Coastal Resources of Thailand, and she is an expert in marine resources management. And right now she is also the Thai representative to the UNESCO Council of Intergovernmental Commission on Oceanography, or IOC. So her presentation today is highlighted on Thailand experiences on the topic towards better plastics waste management and circular economy. So the floor is yours, Dr. Suri.
Thank you very much, Kunduriya Kapunka. So please let me share my screen. Can you see the screen clear? Excuse me, can you see the screen, the PowerPoint clear?
Yes, we do.
Okay, thank you. So good afternoon, everyone. It is my real honor for having a chance to share with you our actions and plans from Thailand on tackling marine plastic pollution or plastic pollution in general as well. I would like first to give all credit to my colleagues from Pollution Control Department for the preparation of this slide presentation entitled Towards Better Plastic Waste Management and Circular Economy in Thailand. In this slide, I would like to share the information on the municipal solid waste management status data of last year, 2022. This slide shows the amount of total municipal solid waste generated last year, which was 25.7 million tons. Of this, 34% was reutilized, 38% was properly disposed, and the rest of 28% was improperly disposed. The 34% of the waste recovery for reuse and recycle were about 8.8 million tons coming from household sources, separation of 4 million tons, and from separating at material recovery facility of about 4.8 tons. It shows that the household had poor waste separation at sources, causing contamination of recyclable waste and adding burden to local government on budget to manage those dirty recyclable waste, which is low recyclability. And lastly, looking at the sanitary disposal of solid waste, it was only about 38%, those of which were properly taken to waste disposal facility. For example, sanitary landfill waste to energy composting, while 21% was improperly disposed, that mostly were open dumping. Refuse derived fuel, or the RDF, is a fuel produced from this one. This is also one of the choice. Okay, I'll go to the next. During the past decade, average plastic waste generated in Thailand were about 2 million tons per year, or 12% of the total municipal solid waste generated. Of those, 25% were recovered for material recycling and energy recovery, while the other 75% of plastic waste were mostly single-use plastic. They were disposed to landfilling or incinerator and partially accumulated in dump site. That is having a chance to overflow into the natural water. To address this waste management issue, the Ministry of Natural Resources and Environment, through the Subcommittee on Plastic Waste Management, established Thailand Roadmap on Plastic Waste Management during the year 2018 to 2030 to serve as a framework and direction for preventing and solving of plastic waste in the country. The key principle of the roadmap development are life cycle approach, 3R principle, public-private partnership, concept of the circular economy, and responsible consumption and production. The roadmap was divided into 3 phases with different targets in each. You can see here the data on your right. In this slide, attached with the roadmap, the action plan on plastic waste management phase 1, 2020 to 2022 was established with 2 targets. Target 1 was to reduce and stop using 4 types of plastic targeted by replacement with environmental friendly materials. Target 2 was to recycle at least 50% of 7 types of plastic waste by 2022. The action plan came with some measures such as reduction of plastic waste generated at sources, reduction the use of single-use plastic at consumption process, and also measures on the post-consumption plastic waste management. The action plan was driven by Subcommittee on Plastic Waste Management under the National Environmental Board, which had representatives from all stakeholders concerned, and especially having the group of public-private partnership or the PPP plastic. Most of the measures under the first phase of the action plan were implemented and promoted. In the measure to reduce plastic waste generated at sources, there were some standards established, such as plastic products containing post-consumer recycled material and bioplastic products, as well as the tax incentives. For the measure to reduce the use of single-use plastic at consumption process, we promoted the No Plastic Bag campaign in shopping malls and convenience stores, promoted of green coffee shops, and reduced single-use plastic in food delivery platforms, government offices, national parks, and zoo. For the post-consumption plastic waste management, we promoted waste separation from household, communities, and schools, as well as promoting drop-off for take-back use packaging for recycle process. In the action plan phase 1, the measure focused on reduction and banning of single-use plastic on voluntary basis. Meanwhile, it needs to raise up the level of plastic waste management according to the problem situation. Country policies and plan, including international commitments and regional cooperation framework. In phase 2, the action plan focused on life cycle management of plastic from upstream, midstream, and downstream. Tools and mechanisms for plastic waste management are being developed, such as extended producer responsibility or the EPR, standard of plastic products, PCR mark, eco mark, and green procurement. In the action plan phase 2, there are 4 measures to address the plastic waste. 1, production and environmentally friendly products. 2, reduction of the use of single-use plastic at consumption process. 3, the post-consumption plastic waste management. And 4, marine litter management. In measure 1, there are 4 activities, including the grouping and defining types of plastic products for proper recycling, the setting up standard related to eco-design, post-consumer recycle or PCR, bioplastic, food containers. 3, supporting manufacturers to use packaging containing PCR or to locate refill station. And 4, research and development, as well as enacting law and regulation to reduce plastic pollution. In measure 2, in order to reduce the use of single-use plastic at consumption process, we need strong engagement and cooperation from all stakeholders, including shopping malls, convenience stores, restaurants, cafes, local markets, people, and government to reduce the use of the single-use plastic. In measure 3, the post-consumption plastic waste management, which should be separated from household in order to have clean materials for recycling. Food waste and organic waste should be separated as source to make the compost. It is important that recyclable waste should be separated and sent to the recycling business, including junk shop. In measure 4, marine litter management, this includes waste management from land-based sources and sea-based sources, applying various activities and measures. The cooperation among stakeholders to stop using plastic capsule microbead in the cosmetic and stop using plastic bag in the supermarket and convenience store is was one of the practice that we have been through during the first phase of the action plan. In the reduction of single-use plastic in food delivery, we have done this by cooperation with stakeholders on food delivery. We have the MOU on reducing single-use plastic with food delivery platform, and we have the cooperation among stakeholders, restaurant, food delivery platform, consumers, and the government, both central and local government. In the awareness raising and educational program, we have lots of campaign on ban plastic bag and polystyrene foam container in national parks to government office. We have the project on zero waste school and zero waste communities. We ban plastic campaign on reduction of plastic bag in local market and supermarket. We also reduce the plastic bag and polystyrene foam food container in the government office, and also develop the KPI to reducing the single-use plastic by policymaker. I would like to give you information about the PPP plastic, or the PPP plastic, or the public-private partnership for sustainable plastic and waste management, or the PPP plastic for Thailand. It was established in 2018, led by the Thailand Business Council for Sustainable Development, jointly with the Plastic Industry Club, the Federation of Thai Industry, for driving the sustainable management of plastic waste with various sectors, both government, public, private sector, international organization, and educational institution. This PPP plastic recognized the importance of mobilizing cooperation from all sectors to find sustainable solution to the plastic waste problem in Thailand. And the PPP plastic has been a member of the subcommittee on plastic waste management. They are very quite an active member, and we got a lot of useful information, and we work together quite well so far until present. Next, I would like to show you a bit on the opportunities and challenges of circular economy. To the right, we have some number of challenges or opportunities, such as the international trade and agreements. Circular economy is promoted and supported by the government by our circular green economy model policy. We have the net zero commitment by the government at the high level meeting, like the UNFCCC COP26, 27. The existing public-private partnership, the mechanism that promotes circular economy, such as voluntary take back on packaging and e-waste. And on the right, we have some challenges, such as the existing law focus mainly on end-of-pipe management or the waste disposal. Changing modern waste management may be difficult to implement due to limitation of budget, knowledge, and personnel. It is difficult to introduce a modern waste management law to promote circular economy because of its affect business as usual. The recycling is practical by most people and organizations as compared to prevention and reduction of waste generation as source. The socio-economic and technological disruption by changing lifestyle production and consumption causing new emerging waste that are difficult to management. For the next step forward, plastic waste management is linked to human behavior and people's livelihood, which is very much challenging and need great effort and cooperation from multi-stakeholders. Solving the plastic waste problem requires addressing the issue at the root cause. Reduction of plastic utilization is the first priority. Thailand has driven the voluntary based measure on plastic waste management for such a period of time, but the achievement has slowly progressed. Therefore, mandatory based measure on the plastic waste, such as laws and regulation enforcement, should also be considered along its life cycle. The EPR scheme, both of voluntary and mandatory based, will be implemented to address packaging and plastic waste. So the household source separation of waste product standard will also be applied and implemented. Dear participants, we have exceeded the level of convenience in many aspects of that plastic have provided us many decades. Please rethink and reconsider to stop using those unnecessary single-use plastic in our daily life. And please have your eyes on the used plastic as materials, not waste, so that we can help preventing more plastic pollution to enter our natural ecosystem. Thank you very much for your kind attention.
Thank you very much, Dr. Suri, for your interesting sharing the experience of Thailand on the roadmap, on the measures, and including the next step. So thank you very much. We still have another speaker, and our last speaker, Mr. Lee Ken Woon, will highlight his practice at the school level. We have heard about the policy, the global situation, and now we come to the practice in the school. So I would like to just briefly introduce Mr. Lee. Mr. Lee is an excellent principal of St. Patrick Tower, Malaysia. He was able to win the first prize winner of 2020 SEAMEO Japan ESD Award under the theme Addressing Plastic Problems for Transforming Communities. So today his presentation will be focusing on our Go Green journey, beating plastic pollution. So Mr. Lee Ken Woon, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Ms. Turia, our moderator today. I share the screen first. Good afternoon, everyone, especially to our teachers and students. My name is Lee Ken Woon, Principal of SM St. Patrick Tawau, Malaysia. This afternoon, I'm going to share my school's Go Green journey with the title, Beating Plastic Pollution. This is my school with the students 1,400 and the teachers 72 teachers altogether. And this is the school landmark with the school mottos, SM St. Patrick's difference every day. So we are different every day in our environmental programs. Since 2016, our Go Green Journey programs is implementing based on our school environmental action plans, which is a 5-year action plans. And this is our school environmental vision SM St. Patrick's is committed to sustainable quality environmental education. And the mission is to cultivate the environmental preservation through education to produce a school community who loves and appreciates the environment and practice it in our daily life. We are implementing the 5 Greens program, which is our slogans: Go green, live green, love green, think green, and be green. We are applying 7 strategies in implementing our Go Greens journey. The first strategy is to use the plastic sustainability and new module in our classroom teaching and learning for our students. This is a module books and the contents of the module book that we are using for our teachers to be taught in the classroom. And the teachers are teaching based on the yearly lesson plan for this classroom teaching and learning. And the teachers also using the daily lesson plan for teaching for our students in the classroom. Strategy number 2 is to construct the green corridor with 110 meters long. In fact, green corridor is our school walkway whereby our teachers and students are walking past every day, every school days. This is our school green corridor with different parts of our green corridors. And this is the green zone. Our school green corridor are divided into 5 zones. So this is a green zone with all the environmental informations. And this is the earth zone, which is displaying the information about protecting the earth, our planet. And this is another zone, which is the recycle zone, with all the environmental slogans about the plastic usage being displayed in our green corridor. In our green corridor, we say no to the plastic flower pots. We also say no to the plastic rubbish bin along our school green corridors. And we are displaying the facts about the plastic bottle knowledge and information for our students to learn about the plastic along this green corridor. And strategy number 3 is to create sustainable corner in every classroom for our students. So our teachers and the students are working together to come out with the sustainable corner with all the informations of environmental knowledge about plastic. They are using the plastic bottle, plastic bag to come out with the sustainable corner. This is one of the examples for the sustainable corner in the classroom. Strategy number 4, various innovations of plastic waste project being carried out to disseminate the solutions of environmental issues through green innovations. There are some examples of our school innovation, green innovations. This is the reuse and creative corners. The students and the teachers are using the plastic bottles and the used toilet bowl to make the flower pot to plant flowers. And another innovation in our staff room. This is the innovation by our teachers. This is an innovation done by our lab assistants in science lab, in the science lab. And this is an innovation carried out by our school counselor, with the students to make the tables and the chairs by using the plastic bottles at their counseling corner. And this is the innovation by our sport science class students. They are making the teaching aid, which is the respiratory system, by using the plastic bottle and the plastic bag to make the teaching aid. Strategy number 5 is to say no to plastic campaign, is to beat our plastic pollutions. So our school canteen also involved in this campaign to beat plastic pollution. Our school, for your information, our school has 4 canteen operators. This is another project, EcoBricks, being carried out by our students at school herbs gardens to make the border of this herb garden. And we are organizing these TikTok video competitions for our students with a theme, avoid the plastic pollution in year 2021 and in year 2022, say no to plastic waste. This is the competitions. And our students during these celebrations of the Earth Day this year, the awareness about the use of single use of this plastic and the polystyrene was presented by our students during the school assembly. Strategy number 6 is to organize the Go Green Carnival every year. The purpose of this carnival is to involve all the citizens of the school communities, including teachers, students, non-teaching staff, parents, school stakeholders, and all the communities outside the school. So these are some of the activities being carried out during the Go Green Carnival last year at our school's different environmental learning stations. And during this Go Green Carnival, we are also involved our school strategic partners for the collaboration in environment activities and programs, such as the environmental department, forestry department, NGOs. We are also involved, invite the private companies to come to our school to join the program with the school and the teachers. Our highlight for this Go Green Carnival is to have this school eco tour. For your informations, we have our school has 15 environmental learning stations for the student and the visitor to learn about the environmental informations. So our student will be the school environmental ambassador to introduce to the visitors about the environmental information in our school. One of the example for the learning station is sea turtle learning station in our school. So this is the school eco tour map, which is designed but not by our teachers or others, but is actually by our students themselves. The last strategy is to organize green technology exhibition in the school for our students. So our students are using the plastic waste to design the green technology products to be displayed during these green technology exhibitions. So there are many products being invented by our students. So small changes create big impacts. We should start our Go Green journey at school for our children so that they can practice a sustainable way of life, especially in beating the plastic pollution. Thank you. That's all from me.
Thank you very much, Mr. Lee, for your presentation. I think that you have provided us a very good information on how to develop strategies in school. And I believe that many participants are from the education sector. So I think that this is very useful for them. So we are a little bit behind the schedule. So I just would like to take just 30 seconds to wrap up this session. I think that the first two speakers just mentioned in the global situations. Professor Tao Ji Li just mentioned about the global commitments like the global resolution, global convention that would link us to work on the national level. And Dr. Suri just mentioned the sharing the case study at the national level, for example, Thailand roadmap on the plastic waste management and the strategy, the measures that we are undertaking. And from the national level, Mr. Lee just introduced some case study or some strategies that would be able to be implemented in the school level. So I think that this panel session is very useful for all of you in the World Environment Days. At least you have some kind of perception that we are working on the campaigning the plastic waste management at the very beginning, at the very low level, I mean grassroots level. And I like the idea of Mr. Lee that small changes can have big impact. So we have to begin at ourselves so that we can make big change and have a big impact. So I think that I will give the floor back to our Master of Ceremony today, Kun Piyapa. And before that, I would like to thank our three speakers for your sharing of very useful information. And over to you, Kun Piyapa. Thank you very much. Sawadee-ka.
Thank you very much for the wonderful session, Kun Riya. We have learned a lot from our experts in different levels. And may I remind our audience that you can send the questions to our speaker by clicking on the link of the Q&A form in the YouTube description box or chat box, or you can scan the QR code. For the next session, I think that we have received many questions from our participants that how can they download the Waste Hero educational resources. We are pleased to invite Mr. Brian Caraway, Circular Economy Lead from Yunus Thailand Foundation. He will guide our teachers about the Waste Hero educational resource. If any participants would like to receive the Waste Hero educational resource and you cannot catch up with the presentation of the Mr. Caraway, please drop your message in the Q&A link that our team already posted in the description box and on the top of the chat box. When you drop the message, please make sure the spelling of your name, organization, and email address so that we can send the further information to your email address directly. Without further ado, may I invite Mr. Caraway on the virtual stage. Are you ready? Yes, the floor is yours.
Yes, thank you. Let me to share my slides. Okay, is that coming in clear? Can see?
Yes, it is clear.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. All right. Wonderful. Well, thank you, SEAMEO, for the privilege to share today about Waste Hero education. And yes, I will disclose to everyone you can easily access these free materials, but allow me to share a bit more detail with you. Yes, thank you to everyone joining the session and to SEAMEO. I also want to acknowledge and thank Indorama Ventures as well for their ongoing support and guidance in helping develop these important education materials that I'm going to share with you today. So thank you, everyone. And hello, happy World Environment Day. My name is Brian. I'm the Circular Economy Lead at Yunus, Thailand, a nonprofit foundation based in Bangkok, Thailand. And I'm also the project director of the Waste Hero Education Program that I'm very honored to share with you today. So what is Waste Hero Education? Well, it's a global education program with the aim to educate 1 million students by 2030 on the fundamentals of recycling, creating zero waste, and building the circular economy. Waste Hero Education lesson plans consist of 19 lesson packages and circular economy entrepreneurship workshops within 6 levels across primary, secondary, and university level students. Content across each package centers around 3 key aspects. We have a problem, a solution, and where the underlying value is. And these are all organized in a vertically integrated knowledge stream based on age-appropriate subject matter that weaves into existing school curricula. So the lessons were created in alignment with the international education standards and also prepared under the guidance of education professionals throughout the entire process. So because these lessons reach a global audience, we design them to be universally applicable to a diverse audience, but adaptable to fit the evolving classroom dynamic globally. Teachers and educators will find the lessons very easy to use with detailed teacher guidelines, facilitator notes, guiding questions, as well as clearly defined student-facing and classroom instruction. So we really tried to make this very turnkey and simple to use. So, of course, a lot of careful consideration went into the creation of these lesson materials. We reviewed over 150 different recycling lesson plans that were currently available from 35 different sources. And from that, we designed an analytical framework to give us an idea to answer some of the really important questions, because this is a global program. So, you know, what content is relevant and applicable globally? What are the appropriate cross-cultural issues we should be concerned about with maybe our messaging and tone? How you know, are these materials, can they work in a high-tech classroom as opposed to a low-tech classroom, or both? They needed to be applicable to all different classroom contexts. So this framework really helped us kind of dial in the key 4 parameters that we needed to focus on through this development process. And in that process, we did this alongside an educator advisory group where we brought on 23 different education professionals from 17 countries across 6 continents that all basically helped us co-create throughout the entire process. We had focus groups, we had interviews, we created a WhatsApp group. So we were like kind of constantly in communication to get tips and perspectives that we wouldn't otherwise have. I'm not an educator myself, so we really needed that professional input from our EAG, our advisory group. So this is kind of the design process that was iterative, working between the development team at Yunus, Thailand with us, Indorama's CSR team, the education advisory group, and a third-party panel of education experts. So these are much more senior education experts that we organized to help validate that these materials were actually fit for purpose and ready to go into the classroom. So there was a significant amount of meaningful input from different groups of professionals that helped us along the way. So who is Waste Hero for? Well, these are, of course, classroom lesson plans, but they were designed to be used outside of the classroom as well. I mean, we really want to support youth taking action now. We think of, you know, Greta Thunberg and the youth movement of activists that really want to do something. I mean, Greta stopped going to school to sit outside to get attention to these issues. So young people are very passionate about these issues. So in that same vein, we wanted to create you know, activity-based lesson plans with useful, you know, design thinking tools, business modeling tools to basically start thinking solutions-based instead of just regurgitating data points that we all hear about, the amounts, the tonnage of plastic going into the ocean and such. So we really wanted to think about, okay, we know it's a problem. What are some actionable steps we can take? And so Waste Hero really tries to offer that. So, you know, in schools, youth activism, all the way up to, eco startups who want to tackle some of these problems from an entrepreneurship angle. We have the tools for that as well. So let's just quickly look at a couple examples of the lessons. So here's an example of a level 1. As I said before, there's 6 levels. So level 1 would be for early learners, where students learn about age-appropriate basics of recycling and how to do it correctly through an animated story about a rabbit family. And so each of the 19 lessons, like I mentioned before, are all activity-based. So they do include an activity. So on the right, you can see this was a bottle count exercise where students are tasked to collect bottles for a week, bring them into class, they add them up, and then eventually they put them in the recycling systems, hopefully at their school. So very tactile, hands-on learning at a very early level to get them to understand some of these practical basics of how to recycle. And again, yes, we underscore the 3 steps, very basic steps of how to recycle, and we really kind of underpin these points throughout the lessons to really drive home these points, and certainly we ensured that these were globally applicable in context. And so some of the later levels, like levels 4 and 5, we introduced the linear and circular economy. You heard Colm from Indorama talk about this, and so we really stressed a lot of lessons to really touch on these points, because this is a lot of where the conversation is around, is how are we creating a circular economy, as you've heard from the panelists today. So this lesson gives students like a product case study where they have to define the 5 steps of a product's life cycle, and then where on that linear path can they design circularity into this product model. So the idea is to get people thinking about existing systems of production and consumption and how to rethink and redesign these systems to make them more inclusive and, of course, more circular. We introduced a redesign challenge where students are given a business model with no circularity, so a linear model, if you will, and they're to work collectively in teams to go through the design thinking process to redesign that business model to include circularity. Design thinking is essentially a solutions-based framework to get people thinking about ideas, how to test those, and it's kind of this iterative process, kind of like what we used for the development of Waste Hero itself. And we also created the circular business model canvas. I'm not sure if everyone's familiar with the business model canvas, a more traditional sense, which a business model canvas is basically a snapshot of a business plan, a very simplified, quick look at the meat of a business. And so we added 3 segments to this to build in that circularity component into a business model. So in the middle, what's the circular value proposition? Why is this important? Your circular innovation, what is that? How does that bring value? And of course, end of life. So we want to get people thinking more about, okay, when we develop a product or a business, after something's been consumed, what happens to the end of life of that material, that packaging, X, Y, and Z. So we thought these 3 components were really important to add. So again, we've come up with some. Certainly there's existing innovative tools that we've provided. We've developed some on our own, again, to get people thinking solutions oriented so students can take action now. So the lessons are adaptable. And I think this is a really important point to raise, that there is a lecture part of the lesson that a teacher will present and move through. There's nice animations within the PowerPoints, even though we do have PDF versions of this as well, if the classroom isn't suited for a PowerPoint version. But within the lessons, we have that activity. So we understand that teachers are pressed for time with current curricula demands and such. So we've designed it to where if you only have time for the activity, great. This can be done as a separate item. Or if you only have time for the lesson, great. Maybe that can help complement an existing environmental science lesson or something. Or maybe there's just a couple slides that really just help reinforce a point in your class. That's great too. For a few of our lessons, we actually have these kind of simple class activities, like this yes/no image you see on the slide. So this is an animated slide where basically teachers would ask the class, can a glass jar be recycled? Can a pair of shoes be recycled? And they kind of go and open up a dialogue around this. I show this point because we had a teacher in the UK who really liked this aspect of it, because I guess in the UK they're required now to start each class with a warm-up, like an engaging activity for students, and she really liked that this was a part of it. So even if she wasn't able to get to the entire lesson, she felt like this was a really useful tool to at least introduce that before she got into to her lesson. So with our our education advisory group, we did in-classroom testing. So after we went through the education experts, they were validated and approved, we needed to begin testing these in a very diverse context. So we tested in classrooms in the UK, Mexico, Zimbabwe, US, Bangladesh, to really give us a full perspective of the utility of these in different classroom contexts. So this is an image of a school in rural Mexico, where we tested one of our lessons with 13 to 14-year-olds. They did a level 2 lesson where they were to create a waste hero superhero. So they were given a worksheet and some guiding questions to think about, what, instead of just designing a really cool looking like superhero, to really kind of think about what's the call to action that you're going to implore people at your school. So they're to make a poster and basically have some kind of announcement, some call to action that they can convey to other students in the school. Maybe it's the 1, 2, 3 steps of recycling, or the yes, no slide, or something of sorts, to get them thinking about not just making a cartoon character of sorts, but also thinking like, what's the purpose behind this, and how can I inspire others to take action? And so this is just an image of that handout that's given. And so, so instead of just like, coloring and designing a very animated looking superhero, we have some guiding questions in there to help them really critically think about what they're designing. And so this is just an example again of a student who created a waste hero of their own. And also another example of how these materials are adaptable. So you can see at the top, everything's in Spanish. Well, Waste Hero, although we do have Spanish translated materials now, we actually have materials translated in 4 different languages and more are coming. But this was before we had the Spanish one. So actually the teacher was able to go in because Waste Hero didn't translate. So they had to call it Eco Heroina or something like this, to make it more applicable and kind of drive home to the students what Waste Hero really was. So I thought that was a nice example. And just an image of once they completed the lesson, they all seemingly enjoyed it. They look happy. We had some interesting and funny quotes from them. And yeah, so it was a good experience. So the burning question I know you guys all have is, how do I access and get this free stuff? And yes, it is 100% free. And you can visit our website at www.wasteheroeducation.com. And you'll see these are 2 images. The image on the left is basically our homepage, and you can see at the very top in the red box, download free lessons. You click on that, it'll take you to the image of our lesson library that's to the right. And you'll be able to see the different levels. So level 1, pre-kindergarten to grade 2. And then you'll see a beginner, intermediate, and advanced lesson. So every level will have 3 lessons. And within those lessons, you'll have a PowerPoint or a PDF version with supplemental handouts as well. So you easily could just click on the English icon or the Brazilian Portuguese PowerPoint. It'll download automatically. And you could literally just click the preview or the presenter mode in the PowerPoint and begin teaching it. So we really wanted to make this as simple and as easy to use as possible. So the quickest way, outside of typing the www and all that, feel free to just scan the barcode. It'll take you directly to the website. I encourage you to do so. And again, all the lessons are free to everyone. And so, yeah, I just, again, wanted to point out that these lessons certainly are designed for the classroom, but also beyond. So any one of you looking for a starting point in how to make a meaningful impact, we believe these resources and tools will be of great value as you begin your Waste Hero journey. So the greater issues concerning, the environment, I think this has come up a few times today, that a multi-stakeholder collaborative approach is critical to addressing these problems. So that's also something that we're trying to do with Waste Hero. So if you feel there's an opportunity to collaborate with us, with Waste Hero, and with these materials or otherwise, please reach out to me directly, and we would love to connect with you and help bring more Waste Heroes to life. Yeah. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much for the wonderful presentation. And I hope that our participants have better understanding about the waste management and circular economy, as well as how to download the Waste Hero educational resources. And you know that we have received over 160 questions addressing to our speakers. However, due to the limited time, we are so sorry that we need to skip the Q&A session. But anyway, we are trying to accommodate the question of the participant by, we will post the answer on the Facebook, so that the questions that quite interesting, we will send to the speaker, by email, and then we would like to receive the answer from the speaker. And then we will post the answer in the Facebook for our participants. So may I repeat again? For any participant who would like to receive the Waste Hero educational resource, please drop your message in the Q&A link, which our team already posted in the description box and also on the top of the chat box. Please ensure the spelling of your name, organization, and email address. All right, you still have time, participants, to drop your message in the Q&A form. Thank you so much, Brian, for the very wonderful presentation. It's very useful for our teachers and students. So now we are reaching to the end of the webinar. May I invite Ms. Duria for the closing message. Ms. Duria, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Khun Piyapha. I do hope that the webinar today is one of useful activities that SEAMEO SEPS and partners conducted in terms of the applicable activities for our education partners, our education participants, particularly in the SEAMEO member countries. We all realize that plastic waste management is one of the critical issues in the world today, and its impact also related to the climate action, life below water, and even life on land. So the SDG goals, which are connected to the planet topic, planet themes, are quite close to the waste management, plastic waste management issue. So I believe that if we start today in the education, in the curriculum, we will have the potential future generation to deal with or cope with these issues. Values, attitudes are very important to sort of create your mindset. And when you have good values, good attitudes, and have a correct mindset, it will become actions. And automatically it will be your behaviors. And if you have good behaviors, of course, sustainability will be ensured from your actions. So I think that if you start today at the students, at the education section, of course, sustainable goals will be achieved. So right now, I think that I would like to express my appreciation to our speakers at the beginning, Datuk Habibah from the SEAMEO Secretariat, Mr. Jordan from Indorama, and also Dr. Farrell Khan from UNESCO Bangkok office, and our three panelists, Professor Dalji Lee, Dr. Suri, and Mr. Lee Ken Woon from the Malaysia, and of course Mr. Brian, who just introduced the Waste Hero education resources. And please, if you are interested in the resources, please ensure that it's free. And just to confirm that, I'm so sorry that we cannot have time to respond to the questions. And just Kun Piyapa just mentioned, we have lots of questions, and we would like to respond to your inquiry. But because of the time limitation, we will post some questions, some interesting questions on our social media channels. So please also follow our future activity through the SEAMEO SEPS social media channel once again. And I'm sure that next month we will have another webinar again. And please follow the themes or the topic of our webinar. So today, thank you very much for all your participations, our participants. I think that we have over 700 participants with us, almost 800. So thank you very much for your involvement and participation to our activities today. And thanks to our speakers, thanks to our MP, and also to the technical supporters today. Thank you very much. Have a good day. Bye-bye. Thanks to our speakers. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Before we end the webinar, may I inform the participants about the certificate of participation. Please use your mobile phone to scan the QR code or click on the link that our team has posted in the description box and chat box. And also, I would like to inform you that the link will be appear only for 30 minutes. Please ensure that you will complete the evaluation form within 30 minutes after the end of this webinar. So now it is about nearly 4 o'clock Bangkok time. So the form will be closed at 4:30. So only 30 minutes that you will have chance to get the e-certificate of participation of our webinar. Please ensure the spelling of your full name. And after the submission of the e-certificate, we are not able to collect the name on the certificate for you. Please ensure everything of your information. Again, may we express our appreciation to our experts for sharing your expertise and best practices to beat the plastic pollution. And I hope that our participants have gained benefit from this webinar. Thank you so much to our over 700 active participants who have been with us since the beginning of the session. And we hope to see you again in the next SEAMEO SEPS webinar. Stay tuned with us. Bye and have a nice evening. Bye-bye.